is Roger John Castle III, and I'm prepared to repeat this testimony before Congress or any other legal body. From 1994 to 1999, I served as an aviation ordnance marine with VMA 513, the Flying Nightmares, an AVAB Harrier squadron out of Yuma, Arizona. I was an E5 sergeant, leading teams of Marines responsible for the weapons systems and crash response. In 1997, during an exercise in the California desert near 29 Pounds Marine Corps Air Station, I encountered something outside standard military practices and technology. 6 of our VMA 513 Harrier jets were attached to a special purpose Marine Air Ground Task Force, participating on what was called the Hunter Warrior Advanced Warfighting Experiment. On March 10th or 11th, my team were sent out by the airfield tower to investigate unidentified aerial activity, possibly flares. Myself and 4 Marines headed to the identified spot near Emerson Dry Lake bed. As we came over a hill approximately 10 miles outside of the main base, we witnessed a large, flat, black mass hovering above the desert floor. Silent, triangular, approximately 300 feet in length, and it hung in the air roughly 150 to 200 feet above. With no visible propulsion and no heat signature consistent with known aircraft. There were spherical yellow-white lights embedded in each point of the triangle. The lights were not bright, and in the center of the triangle was possibly concave. This is all I was able to observe in those few seconds. On the ground, approximately 200 feet down the hill, were 3 black F-150, 350 type unmarked vehicles, and 20 to 30 men armed with rifles and sidearms, dressed in black, tactical gear, no insignia, no identifiers. We skidded our Humvee and crash response trailer to a stop, and were quickly overtaken by 5 of the men who ran up toward us in an arrowhead formation. Aviation ordnance Marines do not carry our F-16s on us. Our weapons were in the back of the rack. So we were quickly overtaken. We were ordered out of the vehicle with rifles pointed at our heads, pushed against the truck in order to look at the ground. These men had American accents. I knew that at any moment we could head and raced in the desert. Approximately 2 to 3 minutes later, in my peripheral vision, I perceived the triangle craft arc upward and then accelerate to the northwest at an incredible speed. The men ran back to their vehicles and the entire team drove away quickly in the same general direction as the triangle. The Humvee would not restart for 5 minutes. Some battery power, but the engine would not turn over. Upon returning to the base, we were relieved of duty before the shift was over and ordered to return to our group sleeping area. We were met there by our acting staff sergeant and a warrant officer. The intention was clear. They were there to check on us and to follow orders given from above. We were asked about the flares and reported that we saw nothing. Myself and my fellow Marines did not discuss the experience. I only received a silent, "What the F?" from my corporal. The sense was we had seen something we should not have seen, that we could have, and could still be, reprimanded because of it. The following day, I of course experienced psychological distress, confusion, anxiety. Then myself and the 4 other Marines received an unscheduled scene, which I'm still trying to get answers about. And then came the interrogation. Approximately a week later, back at Marine Corps Air Station Yuma, I was brought in by NCIS, Naval Crimes Investigative Service, under the pretense of unrelated allegations, theft of computers. Charges that ultimately led nowhere, but the intent was clear. We were keeping an eye on it. Following that deployment, myself and the 4 other Marines were assigned to different units. I have attempted to reach out to them, and they either I cannot locate them, or they want nothing to do with disclosure, and I respect that. In the years that followed, I dealt with symptoms that many veterans in this space will recognize. PTSD, neurological irregularities, memory disruption. And like many others, I tried to make sense of it in a world that wasn't ready to hear it. And I want to end by saying that, again, I am prepared to give this testimony to Congress. I did file a report with the FBI, even though it's 29 years later, it happened on US soil, and I have still not received a response. Thank you.
My name is Randy Anderson, former U.S. Army Green Beret, weapons sergeant. I also spent 20 years as a firefighter for the city of Las Vegas. My entire career is built on discipline and service to my community and my country. And what I'm going to share with you is something I experienced during my military training in 2014. I'm not here to tell you what I saw exactly what it was, but I'm just going to report as what I seen that day. I was at Naval Surface Warfare Crane, Indiana, which is a weapons, high-level weapons training facility. We were there doing some routine training, but advanced weapons training that day, or that week. A few days into the training, myself and another one of my classmates were pulled aside after class and told we could see some additional stuff. Nothing at first seemed unusual about this. We're taken to another building, brought to an elevator that went down significantly further than I've experienced going down an elevator before underground, so that was notable. Once we got out, we went through some security checkpoints that were, I would say, equivalent to going through a skid. We were just talking about it before. Skid was just a higher level of security. So we went through something equivalent to that. Sanitize, take all of our electronics and watches and devices off to make sure they're sanitized. And that's where it felt like something different was going on. After that, we walked down a hallway and were guided by these two gentlemen to this area. It had a sign that I thought, and this has been talked about on the internet a lot, but the sign said off-world technology, which was very strange to me as well. And so I have no claim about why that sign was there. It stood out, something strange. We entered a room. The first room was a metallic sphere. I saw about the basketball-sized sphere, and now let's talk about spheres everywhere, and it looked about that size of the typical sphere that you're seeing around. It was hovering over a podium, feet off the podium, and just floating there. It was very strange to see. It was metallic, strange metal, it looked just unnatural to me. And the other object has been nicknamed the Gauntlet, but I don't necessarily think that's what it was. It came out that way when I first told the story, and it's been kind of ran with that, but I don't know if that's what it was. It just kind of looked like you would pick it up by putting your arm in it, so that's why I got that kind of name. And it had some type of crystal, looked like a crystal display screen on top of it. And while I was looking at it, I saw inky black symbols start to appear above it. And I feel like I was the only one who had seen that at the time, and I didn't mention it. I was new on the team at the time. I wasn't gonna take any chances of getting pulled aside for something else. I didn't want to take any chance of getting off the team, really. So I just didn't mention that I saw that day. And got to see this stuff. They talked a little bit about, the recovery from an old crash. And they talked about it pretty nonchalantly, like it was a Tuesday afternoon. And we were brought out of there and had a quick debrief, and that was that. We talked about it, and we didn't. So I never was told why we were brought down there. I don't know what the purpose was. And to this day, I've never had answers to that. I'd be willing to talk about the side stuff. Since then, I've worked out at the test site. I've worked all over that facility. Yeah, in that where it was located. I've worked all over that facility doing red team operations, which is basically for tier 1 units, we provide enemies fight for them. There's a couple things that have happened out there. We saw a couple times, we saw orbs that were floating around that we were told not to talk about. And again, this isn't part of my military career, so this was different. We were just told not to talk about it, but we have to do our training. So all the guys can just hush up about it. One green orb and one orange orb is what I saw. Triangle-shaped craft was another one I told our career about. which is kind of,
If you can put the next slide up. Hello? Good.
yeah. It was a little less equilateral than that. It was a little bit more sharp triangle. But looked a lot like that. And we saw that going into like twilight hours. And then and when I was deployed, at one point we saw some advanced drone technology, which was a little bit scary to talk about. But I would say, based on my experience and what I've seen, that a lot of this stuff that people mix up for UFOs is probably a lot of technology that we have as well. That's just my experience. So that's basically everything.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this Off-World Technology Office is a real place that he went, and it is extraterrestrial artifacts there in Indiana. So that's now on the map and it's being delivered to investigators and the government. These triangles that you're seeing like this, some are more isosceles, some are equilateral. This one is probably a Northrop Grumman. There are others that are the prime contractor would be Raytheon. They're anti-gravity, quote unquote, electrogravitic. They have no payload, no fuel, no oil, gas, jet fuel, rockets, means of conventional propulsion or energy. And they do not have, most of the time, nuclear reactors on them. So they're pulling energy out of what's been called the zero-point energy field, and they have an anti-gravity or mass cancellation lifter system. And those were developed from reverse engineering ET craft back around 1954 is when we had the breakthrough on that. 1 year before I was born. I'll be 71 next month. So it's been a while since we've had this tech, although most presidents and members of Congress have no idea we do. So thank you very much for sharing that. Next, I'm just going to show a clip here of my friend Carol Rosin. She was, as I mentioned before, Werner von Braun's spokesperson, and she just wants to do a little update message to all of her. She's couldn't travel right now, but she's working still with us, and she's still doing great work trying to create the peace in space. That's her whole mission that Werner von Braun gave to her.
Hello, my name is Carol Rosin, and I look forward to presenting to the Congress everything that I'm going to say today at the 25th anniversary of the Disclosure Project, and what I said in the first one 25 years ago, where I presented Werner von Braun's warning that there was going to be a faked alien threat scenario produced, and we're seeing that happen now. This is the follow-up, and it's a very simple, quick one. We have one opportunity right now to transform this whole war industry and the actual wars. We can have headlines, war is over. How? By calling on President Trump to reboot the Golden Dome into the Golden Peace Dome. We have a chance now to communicate, of course, with extraterrestrial off-planet culture beings. We're doing it. You're getting evidence of the proof of the technology and information that's being made available to us. Even President Trump is disclosing files on the UFOs. The problem with that is, at the moment, it's being presented, all of it, in the context of people saying that there's an alien threat. People are believing that fiction is fact, that lies are truth. We have a chance now to correct all of that, because in the Golden Dome are weapons at this point. It's modeled after the Iron Dome, which doesn't totally work anyway. And we have a chance now to build the Peace Through Strength Dome that President Trump knows about and put it in the right context. The new context is that we're not alone, that they come here in peace. They've proven it. They've visited many people, including myself. We now know that they come in peace, that they're coming as explorers, and we have to get in our heads, in our consciousness, and the new frequency of consciousness that many people have studied, that we can live in peace, all of us, like they do in the cosmos, and that's what we're going to do. We have to make the decision to jump into the higher frequency of consciousness that we know we have. I've learned it from working with people like Werner von Braun, who was a visionary. We have President Trump, who's a builder, he's an architect, he's a developer. We have a chance now. All we have to do is focus with intention on Trump collecting the world leaders to sign the treaty that is mentioned also in the executive order that we hope he will present to prevent the placement of weapons in outer space that Russia and China called for many years ago, and that over 40 countries actually approved until the U.S. under a different administration pulled out. Now we're going to be able to do this because it's in Trump's executive order, along with the support that we're calling for and so calling him to support and do. We're expressing our support to him. We have the technology to solve that. We're going to have free energy. We're going to have all the technology making us much smarter, more spiritually oriented and aware, and we're going to have peace, world peace, from peace in space that we need to have in order to have peace on Earth. Our president is in position. He is the one. He is the disclosure president, and he's doing it. Now we just have to pray, focus, and imagine and see ourselves living around the world in world peace with all that goes with it. May we have peace in space to have peace on Earth. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Battista, and I am willing to testify under oath before Congress. I'm here to speak about a series of experiences that began during my final year of active duty service as a U.S. Army Special Forces soldier. That background shaped the way I observe, assess information, and approach serious matters. I was visited by and interacted with multiple types of UAP and NHI. These were not isolated sightings. They were sustained, direct, and responsive interactions. Approximately 8 months after leaving the Army, I had become somewhat of interest while trying to figure out why this was happening to me. And eventually I was approached, evaluated, tested, and eventually recruited by a military contractor to work as a psionic asset. A psionic asset is an individual who utilizes consciousness to interact with non-human intelligence for operational purposes, including initiating contact, influencing the engagement, and facilitating proximity. This was operational contact. The concept was that consciousness could serve as an interface, and along with focused intention and specific states of awareness, you could use it to initiate or intensify contact with NHI. And it basically means using consciousness to create the conditions for the interaction. The objective was to use psionic assets to attract UAP for technical exploitation, target acquisition, and downing of non-human craft. To include the recovery and reverse engineering of the technology. This was not the outcome of every contact event. In many cases, they were just observed using advanced imagery, like infrared thermal systems. I can't discuss any methods, locations, or specific operations, but I can say this. This was not just about observing the phenomenon, it was about interacting with it in a controlled way. After that period, I did eventually go public, work alongside an aerospace company focused on ethical and peaceful contact. At the end of the day, the interaction between consciousness and the phenomenon is real and needs to be taken seriously. In the future, the subject will not be defined by sightings alone, by our ability to understand it and interact with it. Thanks for your time and my testimony.
A test range, Provo, Utah, and another sites on the coast of Florida, where those same systems are turned into a way to attach to and guide over extraterrestrial vehicle and then target it, strike it, and knock it down with an electromagnetic pulse weapon, the very existence of which is in violation of the International Non-Proliferation Treaty, because it is a component of the EMP that comes out from a nuclear device. But in this case, it's just the signal itself, and those are used to strike these objects, and it disables them because they're 100% electronic and transdimensional. There was an operator out at the Edwards complex named Jake Barber and some of his team members that came out last year who knew about those operations, who were on the retrieval teams. This is real. It sounds like science fiction, and I understand that to most people it's a bridge too far, but you're not dealing with 20th century and 21st century technology. We're dealing with civilizations that are thousands to millions of years more advanced, and they have technologies that would all look magical to us. But that part of it, a big part of it, is the thought consciousness interface with matter and space-time. And that is what they're using for communication, but it also is used to sense them by people who are skilled, like Mr. Battista and others. And I'm glad to hear he's involved with a program now that's peaceful, but over the last 50 years, they've not been so peaceful, and they've been used to basically attach to the guidance systems, lure them over and strike them and down them. I said, to all the AI people, listen carefully, this is what's really coming, conscious AI.